Hey, good morning, everyone. Happy Wednesday. It's July 10th, about 7 a.m. here on the East Coast. Welcome back to our daily videos. I've been on vacation for the past 8 to 10 days. I was traveling in Colombia. It was just beautiful, guys. If you're from there or you have visited there, it's truly, magnificent. We went to Cartagena and Medellin. Both were beautiful cities, and I truly recommend it. I also got to take some time outside of trading and being able to understand exactly what life is all about in a different part of the world, experience the culture and the food. And now I'm back to the grind and back to trading, something I truly love to do and I appreciate. So let's get back to it, guys. All right, let's see what's happening in the market. And just FYI, guys, even when I'm on vacation, I do keep my community informed. My Cryptosomniac community has been trading. As you can see, I provide updates to them every single day. I don't spend as much time when I'm on vacation, but I try to let them know the important price levels to watch, the important trends to watch out for. Whatever else is happening in the market, okay? So you could see that we're a dedicated community here, and our Advantage members get exactly what they pay for, which is, a good amount of information, educational material, and really just on point analysis where they can, decide to take profits, be able to set stops properly, so, all right. Okay, so we have the 1 hour chart right here. One thing I noticed about the RSI here is there was a lower high being created, and I think this caused a bit of divergence, bearish divergence right here in price. So that's the lower high right there, right? And here's sort of that higher high from over here to over here, okay? So what I would say is this part of the drop right here has already played out a little bit in the bearish divergence. However, okay, we now need to get the RSI to break out of this descending trend line to be able to carry this price up further for a higher high. Then you can be sure that this bearish divergence has completely played out. Now, if price keeps dropping like this, okay, and this RSI over here, what is going on? Okay, there we go. Okay, and if this RSI sort of keeps moving down along this trend line and hugging it, okay, then it's safe to say that this bearish divergence in large part is still playing out, okay? And let's see if that bearish divergence was visible on the 4 hour as well. Okay, so on the 4 hour, you could see not really. It's really just a an equal RSI level, like a double top. And though this was a higher high in price, this is not a bearish divergence. Okay, so with that being said, I would say that for the most part, either this bearish divergence has already played out, or if this price loops back around, right? And first thing it needs to do is be able to break this low right here, okay? Probably around 12,850 or so right there. If it keeps breaking that, then I would say that it's still in play, and the price, at least on the 1 hour, is going to keep going down while hugging this RSI line and keep continuously moving down under it, okay? So what we're really looking for is a break outside of this RSI, all right? You could also see sort of at least for now, a lower high being created. It hasn't quite been cemented because you don't know if this price sort of goes like this and then, goes straight up, okay? I did mention to my community that I stepped out of a majority of my position the other day. So I had 20% of my capital in BTC. I trimmed about a total of 15%, around $12,400, $12,500 or so. So That was a nice, 13 or 14% gain. People always wonder like, hey, why don't you just hold on? We're at 13,000. Guys, that's a terrible idea. This is why most traders are not successful, because they don't identify points to get out of trades, okay? And then what really happens is they keep hoping that the prices are going to keep going up, but then at some point the prices keep turning back around, and then these people don't know when to take profit, and then they keep hoping and praying that, oh God, please just let the price come back up and come back up. But really what happens is it just keeps going down. And so not only did they miss out on the X percent of profit, like I took 13% or 14% of profit on average, where I sold around 12.5. Yeah, I missed out on the $500 movement, but guys, I was also traveling. I also had identified my points that 12.6, 12.8 area was a big resistance level. Okay, so I didn't have any reason to be in the trade anyway. So if you don't have a reason to be in the trade, then it would be unwise for me to just stick around for price without aimlessly hoping that, hey, price is just gonna keep going up. No, that's not what trading or technicals is about. And this is why a majority of people lose money in the market. Okay, you have not set a clear game plan of why you want to be in a trade. Okay, so make sure you figure out your game plan before you enter a trade and stick to it. Okay, with that being said, okay, though I trimmed 15% of my position, I still left 5% right there. And my average, I got in at some point around 10,000. At another point, I got in around 10.7 and then 11,000. So overall, I would say, my average entry was somewhere around 10,800, 10,900 or so, okay? So I still have some exposure, but I cut a majority of it. Why? Because of my life circumstance, which is either I was traveling, too busy, and I had also identified targets to be able to take profits. And so why did I identify, this 12.5, 12.8 range, right? You could see right here, okay, if I stretch this area out from this previous high that we had, okay, this area right here, all right, that is all right around 12.2 all the way up to about 12.5 or so, okay? That was all resistance, right, folks? So you could see price actually broke past it a little bit. If we zoom in closer, you can see price struggled right there, right around, perfectly right near the resistance, okay? 12.4, 12.5. And then price finally broke through. I took a bit of profit even up here, and then came back down to retest as support, broke back a little bit further, and then it kept on moving up over here. I had no idea what was going to happen up here, and I didn't really care because one, I was busy, or I didn't want to try to predict what price was going to do. Rather, I just decided to be happy, take my profit, miss out on the extra 4 or 5%, but I got a large chunk of the move, right? I got the big chunk of the move from like 10.8, 10.9 all the way to about 12.5 or 12.6. Missing out on a few $100s, guys, that's gonna hurt in the long run, I'm telling you. So really work on mastering your trading, mastering your profit taking, because at the end of the day, that's really all you can control, right? You can manage your losses, and you can manage when you take profit, all right? But if you don't do either, you're kind of just screwed, and you're kind of screwing yourself over, because if you don't preserve your capital, which is again the number one rule in trading, how are you ever going to grow it? Okay, so taking consistent profits off the table, being able to sleep with a peace of mind will be far more important. Okay. All right. So with that being said, price has moved away from the 12.8, 12.9 resistance, and now what I'm really waiting for is a daily close above 12,900. Now, why do I say that? Okay. Here's a look at the daily chart right here. Oops. Okay. Look at this level right here. All right, I wanted to identify this clearly. Okay, that's right around 12,950 or so, right? It looks like the daily is trying to break above it right now, correct? Okay, so it's doing a pretty good job so far, but it hasn't closed above it. We still have about 12 hours to go. So I would much rather wait for a definitive close above this level than try to, predict what's going to happen. I could say with a bit of certainty that with this higher low created and this higher low, and now we've had about 5 bullish days of movement, I would say at least a bit of a rejection here, come back down maybe to the low 12s, maybe mid 11s, and then move back up. Okay, this is something that's kind of been done even over here, right? You could see that we had a big run up, first top, big sharp shakeout, sharp movement back up, another pull back after like what looked like a double top, and then false break right here, and then come back down, range trade, and then finally move back up. Now, I'm not saying that this movement has to happen exactly like that, nor does it even have to sort of stop right here. Okay, but if you are trading based on technicals, the wisest thing to do would be to wait above this level on a daily close. So I have about 12 hours to go. Okay, the daily closes 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Right now, even the RSI, it has a bit of a room to grow into the overbought territory. So I wouldn't be surprised if the RSI keeps moving over the next couple days, but with a little bit of a pullback and then swoop back up. Okay. There is another chart that I wanted to show you guys. I wonder if this is it. Let's see where that chart is. Okay, all right, here we go. Okay, so on this, I had also identified 2 different trend lines that are coming off daily wicks. Okay, first one is coming off of this one right here. Okay, let's see. All right, so first one's coming off this bottom wick, and it's touching bunch of these candles right here. Okay, there we go, that's a little bit better. Okay, so these 2 are potential trend lines, okay, on the daily chart. So if price comes back down, right, it has first the ability to stop at this first trend line, which comes from this bottom wick and this touch right here. So that's 2 touches on the trend line. Okay, and you typically need 2 or more touches for a trend line to be validated, okay, to be a confirmed trend line. You can't just have 1, and you can't have 2 with just very close points. Okay, so this is a good enough span of time that has elapsed between this touch and this touch, or this touch and this touch, right? So if prices do come down, say tomorrow, they could bounce somewhere around 12.2, or they could bounce even a little bit lower around 11.8 or so. Okay, now another key identifier, okay, is the 21 EMA that has been so supportive this entire time. All right, you can see all through the run, it's been support right there, support, pretty much support, because this one bounced off the 30 technically. So you can see the 30s at the bottom. Let me change that to some different color, like yellow. Okay, the 30s at the bottom. So either it bounces off the 21 or it bounces off the 30. And even over here, you could see prices bounced off the 21 and the 30, right at the beginning of July, and then kept moving on away. So the potential for a downside movement is right to the bottom of this 21 EMA or 30 EMA again, all right, or those blue trend lines that I spoke about, or okay, what we can look for again is this, where these 2 candles close right here. Okay, this was really the higher, so this was a low that was put in, right, where these candles close, and then this is the higher low, so identified by this and this, right? Next one could be somewhere around this area right here too, 11.2 to 11.4. Okay, because this is really where we had a decent amount of resistance that we were struggling through, and then prices broke on up. Okay, I think even over here I had identified let's see, I identified a different marker over here that showed, okay, here it was. All right, so here's something that I found that we haven't quite done. Okay, we have not tested this big area right here, 11.4, 11.5 right here as support. Okay, remember, as I've stated before, that when prices break on up like this through resistance, they like to test this area as support, just to ensure that there's a good amount of buyers or demand holding that price up. Look how many times this area has been tapped. Okay, and now that it broke on through, right, it just never looked back on this area. It has not tested it as support. So this would be a key area between, anywhere between 11.45 to 11.65 right here. This will be an area to watch. All right, so keep an eye on this level, folks, because if prices drop sharply, they could come back to this area, which was big resistance all through this red range right here, that has not been tested as support, and it could bounce back on this area and then keep on moving up. Okay, and this was what I was trying to explain a bit earlier. Let's see, don't know why my browser just froze up. Give us 1 second. There we go. Okay, and it's over here. Okay, so what I was trying to explain on this was, this movement that we had, right? This double topping right here, and then a pullback, and then kept moving up, and even over here we came back, right? Sort of something similar right here. We had about one top, sort of a double top right there. It was actually more of a swing failure pattern, if anything, where prices just extended but did not keep moving. They extended, came back down, and then kept on moving up. Okay, so an SFP right there, double topping right there, even over here, not really an SFP, but a break outside of the range, but a false break, come back down into the trading range, and then kept on moving up. So with the last two fractals, what we've noticed is BTC likes to almost trick buyers into buying prematurely before a proper retrace or retest of supports, get them trapped up here, and have these same buyers who FOMO'd in right at the top without proper confirmation sell down here. This is really what happens with retailers, because they don't have the patience to wait for a proper retrace or a confirmation, and then they buy up here because they think that, oh no, I don't want to miss out on the run. And then really what happens is you see, maybe 1 day, half a day of movement up here, maybe even some sideways movement, and then prices just eventually come back down to the same trading range that they were in before. And these same buyers up here basically sell down here because they think it's going to go lower. Okay, this is really the retail or the herd mentality. And if you want to get away from that, folks, you're going to have to get comfortable with missing out on the extra, few percent moves here and there. All right, stop trying to chase the FOMO. Stop thinking like retailers. Start thinking like professionals. Okay, the professionals will wait for the meat of the move between support and resistance levels. Waiting for confirmations. Really trading the middle range and letting the, the overall bots or algos or retailers take care of the tops and the bottoms. All right. Okay, so let's check out the weekly here. Let's see how the weekly is doing, because I think the weekly has been pretty fantastic so far. I had mentioned to my community the other day that even though this candle right here was a very scary looking candle and potentially a doji, gravestone doji right here, which typically marks the first reversal candle of if there's a confirmation after, but you could see right here the following weekly did not even care. It just kept moving on up, and now we have the follow-up weekly beyond that, which again wants to keep moving on up. So you could see clearly that price action wants to just keep moving and trending up towards either the 13.9 or even higher ranges. But that doesn't mean that during this weekly candle we can't have big drops, where this candle, may even look like, I don't know, another little doji or evening star, or just really a flat candle. But if you want to be able to day trade, you want to be able to keep in mind the particular levels that I spoke about earlier. Okay, and I mentioned this in a post in our community right here. Levels to be able to watch, right? Resistance levels: 12,675, 12,900, and then 13,800. Okay, and supports are 12,6, 11,8, 11,5. I don't know what this one was. 11.3, 10.8, and 10.4. Okay. Again, these figures may vary, $50 to $75, depending on which exchange you're on. All right. So make sure you do your due diligence for your own exchange. All right. I did spot this rising wedge that was being created in BTC. I don't think that played out. I actually think that we broke beyond it. So let's see. Let's see how it played out. Yeah, it looks like we broke outside of it for the most part right here. And, this, I don't think this wedge is now valid. But this trend line right here is, okay? So if prices do move down, all right, from here, they could even hit the bottom of this trend line, which is about 12.2, 12.4 area. Okay, so something to keep in mind. All right, so you now have different levels to watch, folks. You have a game plan laid out. Maybe wait for the confirmation of the daily candle. You could even wait on a couple of 4-hour candles if you want. It's really how you want to trade, whatever works for you. Okay, what works for me, I write down in my community. I let my community know exactly what I'm doing. So the Advantage membership truly benefits from my attention, my visibility, and transparency. All right, and you could see all that in the gains reviews right here. Everyone writing us just wonderful things about all the different trades and information that we put out. You could read this on your own. There's going to be a Discord link that will be available in this video. You could join for free, or you could join the paid side, the Advantage side, which is $97 a month, and you get access to all these locked channels, which is where a majority of the information and the fun happens. Okay, all right, let's check out a couple more things. Let's see if how Ether is doing. Actually, let's go over here, ETH USD. So Ether is back, under this area right here. That's this big resistance right here, 320. All right, so you could clearly see it's struggling to get outside of this area. You did have this false breakout, and then prices sharply came back in within it, all the way down to about 270 actually. And then again, it got stuck right here. As I've mentioned before, once Ether successfully climbs out of this, folks, okay, this red block right here, this is really where we had a lot of chop, a lot of buyers potentially trapped from way back here, which have now become sellers in this area. All right, I would say that once we break out of this, really the next big resistance is about $390 to $400, and you could obviously set up some medium-term trades from this area, like I have in my community over here in medium term. And we got in fairly early on this, so we're waiting on some higher targets all the way up here in the $400 range. But you have to be able to set aside, X amount of money for different time frames of trading. You could day trade with X amount of money. You can, long-term or medium-term invest, which is maybe months or maybe years. And it's kind of like a set it and forget it mentality. But not necessarily, because you're still watching the market. You're still aware of the prices. And so we try to divvy up our capital properly, and I explained to my community how to do that right here. Okay, so with that being said, I'm still waiting on my medium-term trade for Ethereum to break out of here. I think we picked up somewhere down here. for the Ether medium trade. We kept averaging in up higher and even in this trading range, and now we're waiting for a big breakout all the way up here. Okay, so Ether is still looking good, but it still has to get through this chop. I would say 320 is really the area that you want to see at least 1 or 2 daily candles close above. Beyond that, like I said, 400 and maybe 600 is really the next big targets. LTC, people have been talking about how it's just been not doing anything, which sort of makes sense, folks. LTC had almost a 5-6x movement from December all the way up to over here around middle of June or so. So I would say I wouldn't quite say that it's, all the halving is priced in. I still do think that there might be a bit of movement, but what I'm seeing right now is this gray block right here. This is all really the sideways movement that's happening in LTC. But maybe be careful on this, folks, because this could either just be reaccumulation right here or a bit of distribution. So I'm not saying that, sell your LTC or buy here. I'm just saying that be aware of this price action, because it's really in a region of uncertainty or no man's land, if you will. And unless it hits one of these supports right here, like this middle trend line that has been, support right there, right there, right there, and even, right there. Unless it hits that trend line and we see a movement off of it, I don't know if this is really the area that you want to get into, so just something to keep in mind. All right. And what else? Talked about wave counts. I've talked about, let's see. I think people wanted me to talk about wave counts a little bit, so I will do that. Let me pick up a clean chart. Okay, first, let's see if I have anything on here. Okay, so nothing really on here, it seems. All right, so we had a 5-wave movement, right? So I would say this was probably identified, probably over here. Okay, so this is, again, a sub-wave count, right, folks? So to be able to understand Elliott waves, you have to understand that Elliott waves can be sub-counts of other wave counts, and they could be many, okay? There could be one on the 1 hour chart or 4 hour, or 1 day or 1 week, and they could all be part of larger counts. So with that being said, let me first draw the first count of Elliott wave. Okay, so this is probably the start of wave 1. It's hard to gauge exactly, but I'll probably say this one right here. Okay, so this is wave 1 right here, 2, here's 3, maybe here's 4 right there, and this is 5. Right, and I'm gonna make this a bit smaller, maybe minuet or something. This is not primary. Minor's fine. Okay, so once we had that 5th wave, right, you typically have what is the 3 count, which is the corrective count, A, B, C. Okay, even this is the minor. Okay, now after this count right here, this is called a 5-3 count. All right, then you have another impulse. All right, and again, I mentioned this to my community that we are potentially in a new 5-wave count. So this is 1, 2, 3 might be somewhere here, or maybe even a bit higher near the top of this 13.9. 4 might stretch back towards 12.4, 12.6, and then 5 might push higher towards 14 or 15. Okay, so really this is the count that we're looking at, but this is not complete again. Okay, within this 5th wave, right, this 5-wave count right here, we had also this 1, 2, this could be your 3rd, okay, right there. Your 4th could be, we might be in the middle of it, all right, which could stretch prices back a bit further, and then your 5th could be much higher, all the way up here. All right, we don't quite know if this count right here, let me make this a different color, and I'm gonna make this the primary. All right, we don't know if this third wave is over. Okay, I personally believe that we may be still in the middle of the third wave, which could take us, I don't know, maybe to about 18, 19K. But it's hard to tell with this wave count just yet. Okay, so if we were to assume this is a third, then the fourth wave is, typically going to be a decent correction. At the very least, maybe a 382 or to the high of a 618. So if we take the bottom of this area right here to the top, if this is the top, you can see that 382 comes out to about $8,000. That's where potentially the fourth wave might come back to. Or if it's deeper, it might be 50%, which is about $6,800. Or if it's even deeper, it's about $5,800. So this is why I believe it's really hard to gauge if we're in the third wave or the middle of the fourth. I personally think I'm gonna do these wave counts later for the Advantage members. But I personally think we're still in the middle of the third, and the third is typically the most violent and has the most amount of volume. So it's really no surprise if the third goes all the way to like 20K. The fourth, comes back down to about I don't know, 12 or 14K, and then the fifth, goes out for that big sort of blow off the top, 28 to 35K or something. Okay. So this is sort of, how I've drawn the wave counts right here. Okay. And so remember how I said that, this is the larger wave count, the black right there. This is a smaller one of just this movement right here. And then in this third wave right here, you could also have, 1, 2, this could be your third, this could be your fourth, and then your fifth is really wherever this third wave ends. Okay, so typically, you'll have this fifth count, the fifth impulsive wave of this larger third wave within this whole thing, and they typically end both at the same spot. Okay, don't really know where that's going to end, but like I said, we might be in the middle of that right now. All right. So I hope that helps. Another thing that I wanted to mention is this crypto greed index. Again, we have sort of come to the extreme greed side, and this is again where an area that I want to be a bit more cautious in. I typically want to be able to be somewhere in this region right here where it's just, sort of greed, a bit of fear, mixed into the market, where people think that prices are going to go deeper, and I typically like to buy this area. I don't even mind buying over here, because most retailers for the most part are wrong when it comes to fear or greed. When they should be selling, they're buying. When they should be buying, they're selling. So, all right, folks, I feel like I've done a good amount of analysis. I'm still getting back into the grind. So I hope you enjoy this analysis. Come join Cryptosomniac.com. products and the Advantage membership right here. All right. Or folks, I've been doing a special where if you do buy just the $10 course that I have, which has a ton of technicals information, guys, just the basics that you need to understand what I've been talking about today, whether it's market psychology, technicals, Fibonacci, Elliott wave counts, what have you, it's all in this course right here. Okay, so for $10, if you do pay for this, I will give you access to 1 week of the Advantage membership of all these lock channels. Just message me, I'm right up here, and let me know that you've purchased this. Just shoot me a message, and I will get back to you, and I will give you that access. All right, well, that's it, folks. Cryptosomniac.com. Get the Advantage or get the Technicals course, and that's all. All right, cheers. Have a wonderful day.